All right then. So basically,
Just
and yeah,
gotta wait for the feed to kick in.
basically, we're talking about the ethics of Hoppeanism. Why Hoppeanism is not that bad, because Hoppeanism follows the roots of ethics of volunteerism, the ethics of traditionalism, while focusing on Christianity. Even though it's a spook, so be it. I can actually believe in God whatever I want to, because basically, believing in religion, um, the ethics of anarcho-capitalism and Hoppeanism is basically the Hoppeanism is basically you physically removing communists, but not in a Pinochetism way, and you actually put them in separate places to deport them voluntarily in a border patrol style manner, so then you wouldn't harm them, but at the same time you take no shit, but you don't want to harm them and aggressing the principle. So I guess best bet is follow the ethics and let the non-aggression principle be your guide, and you actually believe in what Hans Hermann Hoppe said.
Yeah.
Don't follow what Volnust or others would say. Don't follow what the fash waves and stuff like that. Follow the follow the true meaning of Hoppe. Follow the true meaning of how agorism and Hoppeanism can be both collide at once. Don't follow what Jeremiah or Esau would say, because that's not what they would say. The way they say is not true. Hoppeanism and agorism can be both in at the same time and once. Yeah. Sorry, I just lost breath.
No, it's okay. Well, anyways, I should have been able to introduce myself. Hello and welcome to the Night Watch. I am the Night Watchman, and this is Maverick Cydex, we'll call him tonight. And today we're going to discuss Hoppeanism and how it has been misrepresented by many groups, the commies, the agorists, the Jeremiah Hardings of YouTube. And we want to set the record straight.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, basically, I can find the chapter of the book. You haven't seen in the podcast yet, but once again, I said it before the podcast starts, as I can see what Hans Hermann Hoppe said. If I can actually find this book, he says, and I quote, "Also on his island of Robinson Crusoe can do whatever he pleases for him. The question concerning the rules of orderly human conduct social cooperation simply does not arise as naturally. The selection can be arise. The second person, Friday, arrives on his island, not yet questioned, remains largely irrelevant so long as no sacredity exists. Suppose the islands of the Garden of Eden. The external goods that are available for the superabundance, of the free goods that breathe is normally free good. Whatever pursue does the good that in his actions, persecutions, neither does respect his own further supplied to such goods, nor regarding the present of the good future supply for the good same goods at Friday, and vice versa. Hence, it is impossible that could ever be conflict between the concern of the Friday concerning the use of such goods. Conflict. It is only possible that if the goods disgrace only will be arise for the formulate rules of the orderly conflict of the free social cooperation possible. That's what Hans Hermann Hoppe said, I quote. So basically, you follow the good of the abundance of the future, or vice versa, and you follow the social cooperation of such goods, a conflict possible of goods, secrets. kind of that. You formulate the rules of the conflict, kind of that. When I mean conflict, I mean like not like genocide. I mean like like plot, I guess, like conflict. And when it says in conflict, it says you carry the few pieces in driftwood back to the hut that looks around the at the beaches around here. So you decide that you will walk northern part of the island today. As you see, though, you can find the driftwood be useful to the group for the grow of coconut trees in the harvest. Helpful through the be more people will amuse to want to be together. Most people in the corporation would be more freedom, but you will all know that the corporation of the human type of human recreation. New people might also prefer to conflict. Conflict has two harmful effects. First is reduce the freedom directly because the least one, the person is not able to do what they want. Second, it makes them harder to accumulate a capital. Why save the coconuts when it's going them away? Having less capital diminishes freedom inherently. So those who maximize their freedom is essential to keep the conflict minimal. The property liberty all about you have already spent some time thinking to protect yourself and keep everyone living in memory harmony. Most of them keep the relatively easy. After Big Billy arrived, you built some simple fence around the hut and makes it likely that he would. This is what I actually quote from the chapter of conflict. It's from the Ethics of Anarcho-Capitalism, the book from Christopher A. Barrer. I highly recommend for this book for any new newbie ANCAPs. The wannabe ANCAPs can be a professional type from now on. I highly recommend for this book. It is a starter pack for all ANCAPs, and I recommend you to read this book, especially for newbies for Hoppeanism as well. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that's Hoppeanism in a nutshell. But what I would want is maybe there's a possibility for Hoppeans and agorists to cooperate with each other and they're against statists rather than just trying to infight against themselves because it's very counterproductive. In my
Well,
view.
people who are against the coalition between agorists and Hoppians are not statists, but they do tend to be slightly being a little bit of aggressors because aggressors. I'm not saying that you should not be. I'm saying I'm allowed. I'm all in for you having the freedom of association, but don't tend to force others to not join both sides. Don't force them of their freedom of association. That's what I'm against of. Is you force them to call them no better than if you call them no better than a fascist. It's basically like the libertarian socialist song. They act like it's saying in the song of which side are you on, kind of that. I don't like that. I prefer we can actually form a unity. If not, then that's freedom of association of your own decision. Just don't force it upon others because that violates the freedom of association, kind of that. Yeah, yeah. And for for agorism, you can be a Hoppian and an agorist following the ethics of counter economics, but also the border patrol against the leftists and third positionists. You put them back to where they came from, voluntarily without any aggression, and it's basically just don't harm them, but at the same time take no shit and actually put them back where they came from. As long as they don't, if they don't do any harm, let them be, and we can actually settle this like a peace treaty towards them. But this is what I want for Hoppeanism is basically, we don't want any leftists trying to treat on us with their boots, trying to step on our snakes. If that's so, we will bring our thumbtacks towards it. That's what my quote's supposed to be like. Yeah. Right?
Oh, can you link your channel one more time so I can put the link in the chat?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll bring it this time. No more. I will not use my YouTube video. I'll just share my channel if that's fine. I'll just um I copied my channel link. For now on, I'm not gonna send my video. I'm just gonna send my channel. Here it is. Um, Basically, Hoppeanism and agorism can work well. It's just you cannot force on others calling them fascists because that's not what freedom of association is. You cannot force on others, to be honest. And Hoppeans are not fascists. They do not have black suns. They do not wear skull neck gaiters. They do not do the salute. They don't have the Holocaust denials. They don't. They actually believe in the non-aggression principle, and they believe against democracy, and they believe in paleo-libertarianism. Yeah.
Oh, hey, we have Del Mario Games in the chat. He says, punished Venom Hop from the Sus Rising 2. Oh, he's just trying to show for his YouTube pope. Hi! What's up, dude? Yeah, welcome to the stream. I'm just trying to talk with Cydex here. He's a Hoppean and just trying to settle some misconceptions.
I'm also an agorist as well, but still, yeah.
Yeah, you can, and yes, you can be both a Hoppean and an agorist, contrary to popular belief.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm not sure. I can even go as far as saying that you can be an encom and being an agorist because that's what ethical pirate aka Gavi does. I actually believe that ethical pirate actually has some ethics. People who force upon others to forcing them for the freedom of association, saying that they are fascist just because they actually choose something that you don't like, you are no better than the aggressor that violates the non-aggression principle because you are forcing people's freedom of association. You're not a statist though, but you're still bad as an aggressor because you're forcing people's decisions of freedom of association, kind of that, right?
Right. And it's not like Hoppeans are violating the non-aggression principle. Yeah, this is kind of what agorists and non-Hoppean libertarians get hung up on, is the sort of idea of physical removal. That sort of rings like, oh, you're going to forcefully deport people that don't share your views? Is that it?
We don't do that. We just politely disagree with them. It's just when they violate the non-aggression principle, like like treating on others like the violence, saying that personal property is theft. They would say like, I will treat on you because you actually have property that I do not like. They would do that, and if they harm on others, we will purposely deport on them, kind of that, and not in a violent way, but more of a, we'll just put the chains on their backs with their arms like that. That will remain silent and then deport them back where they came from, kind of that, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So only when they violate the non-aggression principle you do the physical removal.
Right.
Okay, so anyone watching, physical removal does not violate the non-aggression principle because the people who are being deported do violate the non-aggression principle, and they are being removed to protect people and in the community from their actions. So, yeah, that sounds a lot better than what I've usually heard, is that you just physically remove anyone who disagrees with you.
Yeah. So basically, speaking of coconuts, of the Hansman Hoppa, of what people say about the corporation, this says in the Psalm 90, -1, Lord, thou hast been our Lord dwelling place generations, before the mountains were brought forth, or ever hadst formed the earth, the world, or even everlasting, thou art God. Turn to destruction, the says return the children of men. So basically, the environment is basically a form of art of what God says, returning the children of men, the turners of the destruction of the sayest, something like that. So, basically, a form of environmentalism is a form of art, kind of that. The children of man, kind of that. I think that's what Hans Hermann Hoppe says about the
Okay, Delmari
garden of
Games
Eden.
is also asking, is Hop sus or no? No, he's not sus. But he is sauce. Okay, moving on.
Hmm. So yeah, as what Hoppe says, the Garden of Eden is like a form of art of environmentalism. So basically, as much as I disagree what Ted Kaczynski does, he even thinks that the environmentalism is basically like a form of art. Basically, it is peace. There's nothing wrong, and it's actually healthy form of art that you live in a society without the corrupted civilizations and fossil fuels that you don't need. So basically, we can actually live in a neutral, naturian of volunteerism and naturist kind of that. I think that Hans Hermann Hoppe says the Garden of Eden is basically like an environmental piece of art, like a form of art, like that. Hmm. As what I read the Bible and Psalm 90, and as what I read in the Ethics of Anarcho-Capitalism. Yeah.
Well, it's nice that you actually got into reading the Bible, and I've always said that there is no incompatibility between uh, religion and libertarianism. You could have spiritual beliefs and still hold the principles of non-aggression and uh, mutual aid and the like.
Well, as long as the religion does not harms the other libertarians and stuff like that, Christianity or the religion can be libertarianism because of volunteering of non-aggressing, but give them the gospel of the Lord, but also giving them what's best for the environment, kind of that. So it's basically you do not harm, but you do not treat, but also you do not take no shit, kind of that, because you actually believe to defend of the crops for God and agriculture, kind of that. Yeah, even Ted Kaczynski, the guy we all think he's N-perm, but he's not. He believes in agriculture as well because that's what God creates of agriculture, kind of that. The reason why I focus more on God kind of that is because I'm a pale-libertarian as well. I believe that pale-libertarianism is basically a form of ANCAP, but like you form with traditionalism and Christianity, kind of that, right? Yeah, and um, yeah, what else can I say about it? Um, oh yeah, if you guys want to follow my Twitter, my account is Cydex992 on Twitter. You can actually follow me on Twitter like that. You can add me on that, and I'll set up the streams like that on my own podcast and that on StreamYard. And does anybody else would like to take some questions, please, on the live chat? Um, the Night Watchman. Does anybody say something in the live chat or no?
Let me look. We got one viewer so far. Let's see. No, I don't think so. But another objection to Hoppeanism is it's sort of they say it's going to result in neo-feudalism. And what do you have to say to that?
Basically, neo-feudalism depends. If it's a hierarchy, it's bad. But if it's a form of meritocracy, but like a form of capitalism, can be good. It's just that depends how you call it that way, because I believe in an aristocracy, that we believe in middle class, that we are superior towards the state, kind of that. It's kind of like a proletariat. We are better than the state, kind of that. We are the middle class, and we are like the aristocracy, kind of that. The parliamentarians and stuff like that. Like we're against like the tyrannical hierarchies of of basically like theocracy. That's a tyrannical hierarchy. Monarchy. Well, that depends which one. If it's like Vladimir Impaler, yes, that's a hierarchy and a tyrannical tyranny. Basically, we can actually live in a feudalism. If so-called feudalism, I mean by capitalism, not the corporatocracy, not the tyrannical government way. Yeah, basically like the middle class, we are superior in the middle class, kind of like how the proletariats say that they're superior, kind of that, right? Right, Night Watchman.
Right. But I don't think you really understand is that Hoppeanism involves these so-called covenant communities in which you have a single person making all the rules for everyone else. How is that different from a feudal lord of the manor?
Oh, basically, in our feudal. What do you mean by feudal lord? You mean the gospel type, or you mean
You know,
the
the
feudalism?
medieval feudal lords, how they
The
owned
feudal lord.
everyone, how they owned all the land and the peasants like his own property.
We will mix in with the Hoppeanism of the Covenant with the feudal lord. It's just that we believe in the middle class can actually have its own leader, kind of that. And basically, people can be a self-governing leader, basically like being independent. That we believe that, hey, we would form our own tribe of Hoppeanism while others can form their own, and follow volunteering of others to not treat on others. We would believe that, hey, we were all equally good. Basically, equalism can be good, depends how you use it. But if you use it like in a proletariat way, and if you use it like in, it will end up like a hierarchy of Karl Marx all over again. But if you use it in the Hoppeanism way, it can be working good. That'll end up like a anarcho-coalitionism society, but with Hoppeanism stuff like that. Hoppeans, yeah. Basically, the middle class will have its own leader of variety types, yeah, and a
But I
freedom
don't know
of
why
association.
anyone needs their own leader. Can't they all self-manage? I mean,
Um, if they can self-manage, they and if they need help, they can actually have a supervisor, kind of that, because you need a supervisor to actually have help, and then later on you can actually go work by yourself like that. That's what I wanted. Okay, you don't have to have a supervisor, but still, you need a supervisor to give the rules, kind of that, just to give them an advice, not a demandment, but just a advice, kind of that. If I was trying to say like that, just to give them good manners, kind
okay,
of
so you're saying
that.
they have the position simply because they have more expertise and people come to them for advice. That does make a lot of sense because when we're talking about such arrangements in more statist corporations, it's more coercive, in which do what I say or I'll fire you kind of situation.
Mhm. Yeah, and unlike that piece of shit from that last live stream of ethics and libertarianism, I would say like this will shock all of you, but the age of consent should be 21, because we should believe that not all 18-year-olds are have the same mind of an adult. They still have a mind of a kid, still, to be honest, to this day. So maybe age 21 or
Yeah,
age 20
agreed.
can be
I
good.
really can't roll my head around people arguing for age consent being lowered or being completely non existent. There is a mean average of development a person has to reach before they're able to engage in sexual relations, in my view.
Mhm. Now that's how I solved it a lot better than that last person that I don't want to bring up his name, but still, yeah.
He who shall not be named. But this is my server, so we can say his name, but I don't want to give him any more attention anyways, so.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, Jeremy Harding, if you're watching this, even though we had countering opinions, I'm still glad you talk shit about that person, and I'm glad you owned him for good, because yeah, we actually need more people to expose people like him. But yeah, I'm glad I'm friends with Metal Doomer. Yeah.
So true. And speaking of people you disagree with, what do you think about ESO and Filthy Heretic?
I think they actually enables pedophiles, um, fascists, and stuff like that. Jokes are jokes when it comes to racism. When they don't mean it literally, they mean it ironically. Like the abuser, aka the mysterious stranger, I don't mind them. But when it comes, because that is called free speech. But when it comes to, if you don't like the freedom of speech when it comes to racism, aka jokes, you can actually just fuck off and not treat on us with your accusing bullshit, calling us fascists just because we actually believe in jokes. We actually believe that we can actually accept jokes. But people like Jeremy Harding would go against us and call us fascists or something like that. But people like Volnas deserve to be called fascists because they're just too, basically they're just too edgy, and um they're acting like the Venom Spider-Man, saying, "Oh, what's wrong, Goblin Junior? Gonna cry?" Kind of like that. That's how Volnus acts, and I kind of wish people can get canceled like that, like Volnus. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have to admit some libertarians can act like pompous jerks sometimes.
Mhm.
And if we really want to be taken seriously, we really need to put our egos on the shelf and just talk about theory rather than just
Yeah.
have this holier than thou, I'm better than you kind of attitude that really just turns people off to what we have to say.
Yeah. I understand that. Mhm. I was wondering, I was waiting for another question to ask. I'm trying to think of more ideas to think of. What else do we have? To be honest, I just want to know, and just so you know, I'm gonna take a number one. Be right back. Just gonna use the restroom.
All right, little intermittent break. Uh, in the meantime, anyone in the chat is free to start asking questions. We're willing to take any questions. Thank you.
All right, then I'm back. Um, I'm trying to think of something else. What else is a good idea? Do you know? You know? Yeah. If if we can actually have militias, that's good. But um,
I do
you
agree
also
that there should be some sort of organized private security forces to help protect
private
against bandits and
securities.
warlords.
Yeah, private securities or even paramilitary, because paramilitary means it's a basically
A
it's another
entirely volunteer force, no conscription, just people specially trained to defend the community against external threats and
yeah.
warlords and bandits.
Mhm. Yeah. Just so you know, I was from Mexico and I actually dealt with and I actually felt like shit because most of the people that I know in Mexico are a bunch, like the most of the people that I actually see on Facebook and others, they actually tend to be warlords, like drug lords, and I just wish that Mexico can no longer have those drug lords, and I just wish that Mexico can actually have a libertarian society like
Yeah,
that
the reason why
instead.
the drug lords have that much power is because the Mexican government made the drugs illegal. So it creates an unintentional underground monopoly on the drug
Yeah,
market.
it's because of the American government and the Mexican government.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
American
I.
government for sure. The CIA played a huge role in propping up drug lords in Mexico just to stabilize the country.
Mhm. Yeah, which is why I prefer that Mexico can actually have basically monarchy is better than a narcotics democracy because narco democracy is the worst, to be honest. The narco democracy, aka the drug cartel democracy, that's horrible. But yeah.
Right.
Hmm. Um. Yeah. Um. Basically, if we actually have our own militia, we actually need a supervisor, like a kind of like a leader, but more like a mentor, kind of that, because to give people like an instruction of it, giving them advice is kind of that.
Right.
Hmm. Because if you without any type of without any type of mentor, aka type of leader, there could be chaos because we actually need a self-governing leader because we actually believe that we can without any laws of ethics of rules there will be chaos, kind of that.
So you don't
There'll
think the
be
non-aggression principle is sufficient for organizing a society?
no, I think it's good, but it's just that I think we believe that we need someone that can actually be a mentor, like a teacher or something like that, instead of instead of basically like we don't need another thought slime saying that we can actually violate the non-aggression principle in a fascist face, kind of that, if you can actually think of it like that, right? You know thought slime, right?
Oh yeah, I know Slot Slime, that very cringe soy anarcho-communist cuck boy.
Hmm.
Jeez. Jeez, yes, get laid. Just get laid, Thought Slime.
Yeah, get married, thought slime. but but yeah, we actually need some teachers and mentors. If we can't have a leader, we at least need some teachers and mentors, kind of that, to actually give us the discipline, advices, rules, and ideas. Um, basically help others. Basically, you do not control others, but you can actually help others, right? It's basically like that. Yeah.
Well, I can kind of agree with that. Sort of master apprentice relationship.
Yeah, master apprentice relationship. Yeah, and basically, if we can actually have a master apprentice stuff, we can also believe that parents are can do a better job for master apprentices, kind of that, for children. It's just that even though children are not property, we believe that parents can still protect their children because parents are good for the people, for society. Basically, um, I'm all for pro-life. It's just that we believe that children can be protected from their motherly or fatherly people, just because without their parents can be a bit cruel because you need some sort of caring person, to be honest, like something that can take care of a person or someone
Yeah,
else,
you
kind of
do.
that,
You
right?
do need that sort of parental role in your life to actually, you know, guide you and, you know, show you right from wrong.
It's just
I've
that when yeah, continue on.
And it's also been hard for me coming from a family divorce, it's kind of had to. It kind of means I had to teach myself a lot of things, because my mom was always working.
Yeah. Mhm. Um, what else do I could think of, to be honest, that I can actually think of? Um, I'm trying to think of the other ideas, what is good for Hoppeanism or what is good for libertarianism. Um, Basically, I think Team Fortress 2 the characters can be a form of libertarianism because they're not a military, they're a form of mercenary
I know
group.
there's sort of a private military contractors kind of hired
Mhm.
by this Manco to fight over gravel pits, but I don't know where you're going with that.
Basically, I'm trying to find some fictional characters that I like that are a form of libertarianism because of like that last person, Jeremy Harding said that Sonic is a libertarian, kind of that, right?
Right? That's why Harding's such a big fan of Sonic. He lives by his. He goes his own way. Well, not in the MGTOW kind of
Mm-hmm.
way, but, doesn't really, like, deal with authority that well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could understand that. I'm trying to look for because my battery's almost done on my phone, but I can actually plug in my computer if I can actually
Yeah, okay, if your battery's almost dead, we can kind of close out this stream then. Any
um
any closing thoughts?
closing. Hang on. Sorry, I almost show my face, but yeah. Um, I don't want any closing thoughts yet. Where let me find the Night Watchman. There, I connected to my PC now. Right. Yeah. Hang on. I just need to connect my phone on the charger. But yeah, I think hoppeanism is not that bad, and we can actually live in a peaceful society. Hoppeanism is a form of peace, and it's nothing again. It's nothing. It's nothing neo-Nazi related. Okay, it's something in a form of peace, right? And it's a form of
Right. And
yeah,
people should stop strawmanning Hoppians as being Nazis. Like,
yeah,
I'm not a Hoppian myself, but I hate it when people misrepresent other people's positions. And I try
mm-hmm.
to be honest. I try and hear out all sides, and that's why I have you here tonight. You're a very nice guest, and uh, what I
Yeah,
have to say is that agorists and Hoppians can work together to achieve a better society than the statist one.
yeah,
We gotta really look past these prejudices
mm-hmm.
and hope. Well, I don't just hope. I know that we can do better.
Yeah.
Just have a good night, and